I'm out right into the subject, man. What I kind of want to address and talk about is narcissism. What is some of the rudiment causes to make people exhibit these personality traits? Now, I've been reading. It's a book I'd like to recommend. It's Benedict Hunt. Dark Psychology and Manipulation. Kind of goes into COVID, emotional manipulation, the dark triad, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism. Narcissism. It all seems like it begins with the inability to process childhood trauma due to the brain not physically being mature yet. Also mentally. We talking about, they say in psychology, in the first 5 years of life, a person has to create an avatar or dichotomize his psyche to create another personality to be able to cope with early traumas. And not necessarily trauma due to abuse or anything like that. Also, that is one of the main conduits of that is one of the main triggers. But stuff like situational traumas, like if your mother dies or your grandmother, somebody close to you. Or it could be like, well, you had a bad accident, maybe fall off a bike real hard and you bust your head. Or you're scared of that big ass dog and he breaks off the chain and chases your ass up the street. Something like that. Something situational. Scared of the dark. Shit like that. The brain pretty much comes up with a different personality to be able to cope with this shit in the early stages of life. We're talking like 1 to 5. This is pretty much created by the ego. It's in order for you to survive, though. So it's necessary. People with untreated trauma, they tend to vibrate towards these lower type of emotions. Low self-esteem. When transmuted right, these actually can benefit you because you have the ability to transmute negative energy. That's why I say no pain, no gain. You have to go through the fire and that type of thing. It actually kind of builds character if you're able to transmute it. But the early traumas, like they pretty much they start exhibiting low vibrational, low quality type of thinking, low self-esteem, low self-awareness, jealousy, envy, hate, just this low type of things. They keep it on a hate and subtle level. On the outside, they appear to be grandiose, cocky, egomaniacal. They seem have every big egos. They believe themselves to be superior, more important than the rest of the people. Growing up with these type of traits due to it pretty much can run wild when the child is neglected. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not really checked like that. Nobody's really putting this, narcissistic personality traits in check because, they're being neglected by the parents. So the parents ain't really paying attention to this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I have a personal relationship with this because I have several members of my family that are indeed narcissistic. And other people in my family that just exhibit the traits. I mean, I believe we all have some of the traits, Like, I could be very angry at times. I'm pretty sure, that's a narcissistic trait. Everybody has some of the traits. But even if you exhibit some of the traits, that doesn't necessarily qualify you as a full-blown narcissist. It's like, certain checkpoints you got to go through that they check for in a psychological evaluation. But in psychology, in metaphysics, we call this place the place of the wounded child. the heart chakra, where these unresolved issues tend to lie at. If the brain doesn't process this shit right, one can be stuck literally in time at a certain disposition. Like, say you get knocked out real bad and you 9, and you're not really able to process everything that happened. You could be stuck at 9 mentally. They call this like arrested development, where you pretty much stay stuck at the point of trauma. Growing up in my family, because I believe I have an intimate relationship with this narcissism, because, well, I grew up in a narcissistic family. I believe, my siblings are narcissistic due to neglect. My father died, so, there's no dad. And then my mom, she was working because my pop dead, so she wasn't around. So it was like situational neglect. She was at work, we was at the house, and, shit like that. It's kind of common in our neighborhood, actually. In our culture, it's kind of common. When they make women work and stuff to take on masculine duties, she ain't have time to be my mom. She was more my dad. So that was, I believe, was breeding some of this shit. Plus, they say brainwashing, and some of the main vehicles for like brainwashing is, of course, the media, and then cults and religions. And then, religion is kind of like a cult. And then we grew up Islamic, and that kind of like was cult-like, and it, I believe, led to some more narcissistic traits in some of my family members, because we all had the belief that we was pretty much better than anybody else. At least we're better than the non-believers. Like, all Christians, we believe we're better than them niggas. So I think that set up the premise for some of this narcissism shit in my family, in my case. I'm not saying all Muslims are narcissists. You know what the fuck I'm saying. So growing up Muslim and shit, my family, man, certain things, it was a very strict environment. People weren't allowed to do certain things, and it was certain things that was expected of all of us, respect-wise, morally-wise, academic-wise, all of the above. I believe these conditions created some of my family members to pretty much just go off. Because we were already raised in our own culture, you know what I'm saying? And, Black American traditional culture, Pan-African beliefs. We grew up with pretty much like Islam, which is like some Arabian shit. So, Orthodox Islam. You know what I'm saying? We speak a language, we praying, we don't even really know what we're saying at the time. But it's giving us the belief that we're superior or something like that. That's the only example I'm trying to give. But, when it goes unchecked, these people can grow up to be very vindictive, evil type of people. And that's kind of like what I'm dealing with now, because like I was saying about, my younger sister, all my sisters, in fact, grew up to become narcissists. I had 3 children. I still have 3 children. And through manipulation, false accusations, allegations, and just narcissistic triangulation, because they kind of like ganged up on me, pretty much stole my kids, and I haven't even talked to them in like 6 going on 7 years. Moved my kids all the way to another coast, and pretty much cut off all contact with me. And they did this, of course, with the assistance of the government, which is a very giant narcissistic entity. And it left me victimized. I feel like I'm a victim of narcissistic family abuse. And coming from my older sister and my 2 younger sisters. Stole my kids. They brainwashing my kids. They teaching my kids to like turn against me. They even made what my oldest daughter tell a forensic therapist or a forensic psychologist that I made her watch pornos or something. Due to lack of detail, they determined that it was inconclusive, pretty much a lie. And they didn't go further with the investigation. But it just goes to show me that my sister was actually trying to get me locked up in jail for like sexual molestation of my daughter. Like, you know how much fucking years in jail I would have got for that? That's crazy. That A motherfucker trying to set me up like that. But this all happened because I thought, in fact, she was trying to help me. My sister probably was 19, 20 years old when I asked her to, watch my kids over the summertime because I had to work and I ain't want to quit work and they was out of school. So, and I didn't have anything set up like no summer school or anything with no government daycare or anything like that. I wasn't getting work first or anything like that because it required me to put my baby mother on child support and I ain't really want to get the courts involved and all that. As soon as I let her watch two of my kids, well, she got all three of them because my baby mama she has a lot to do with this too because her fuck ups. Like, she had my other child, my youngest one, because she wasn't old enough to go to school and I couldn't really keep her at the time. She was like 4 and she got to a CPS case up there and I had to go up there and get her. And I was trying to let my sister watch her for the summertime as well until she turned 5 and she can go to school. Well, my sister took that opportunity, confabulated a bunch of stories, because narcissists love to confabulate things, pretty much lie in their own head. They create lies and believe their own lies, or they recall stuff that never really happened, or pretty much make things up. And tried to talk me into moving to Seattle. I'm living in North Carolina at the time, and yeah, she pretty much just took my kids all the way to fucking Washington. She wanted me to come stay out there with my older sister. They all went out there, and then when it came time for me to come over to stay with them or whatever, it wasn't no more room or something like that. The next thing you know, every time I ask her to bring my kids back, it's just weird ass story, and it had a lot to do with my lack of contacting authorities or me using the government against her first. But I was being heavily manipulated by this person. Heavily. I couldn't come to terms with believing that this person was against me or had some type of secret hate for me. I genuinely thought, and I think it was through the cognitive dissonance in my own self. I was like filling in the blanks. Like, well, Kai can't be doing that. She might be trying to help me. Well, maybe I should take her advice. Maybe, because she's a woman at the same time, and this is what I'm lacking in my life. So I'm thinking that she's doing motherly things for the kids. Nah. The whole time, she plotting on pretty much stealing my kids so she can just live off welfare and don't really have to work. Because soon as, while she's filing these court summons against me, she has a GoFundMe asking the community asking people for money so she can fight me in court, talking about my kids were sexually abused, and they never was, not under my watch or my baby mother's watch. They was never sexually abused. So she getting money off of GoFundMes, and she's on Facebook, and she's on like unemployment websites asking how to get money. And so I realized this was just after a while, not at the time. I realized this was just a big scam. And I know that it's common. Women do it a lot. It's actually an epidemic. It's crazy because it seems like our women, it doesn't even have to be one you're intimate with. It could just be your mother, your sister, or your aunt, or something like that. They seem like they turn to be the right hands of white supremacy, bro. Through this feminist ideology and this LGBT movement, it'll make your own mother turn on you, man. Ideologies, cults and religions, media are the main vehicles of this motherfucking mind control, man. I tell you, man, you crack open this book a little bit, it gets into it a little. It gets a lot into it. So now, it's been 7 years. I haven't seen my kids. The court system is telling me I can't go there and get them. They were telling me this shit before. Before I even got in front of a judge, they were telling me this. That I couldn't get my kids. I get arrested for kidnapping. So I'm confused exactly who to be mad at, even though, well, I know I'm mad at both. I know my sister because she's using manipulation. She's using this victimhood because in court documents, she, of course, said I was abusing her and the kids or whatever. I don't know how the fuck she's like playing a role on my baby mama or something like that, but the court went for it because, of course, you know, they make money off these non-custodial parents. But I don't know whether to be more mad at her or the state. I know the state don't really owe me no loyalty. They already have a history of enslaving us. So this is to be expected of the state. But that shit that came from my sister kind of came left field. Didn't see it coming, man. Couldn't see it coming, man. It led me to a heavy smoking habit, bro. Because now it's just hard to cope with not being able to see my kids on a regular basis. It's been years. They ain't even the same people no more. Physically or mentally, they look different. I don't know if I could even recognize them like that. It's just sick, bro. I got an internal pain, bro, where it's a constant crying, bro. There's some sick shit with these narcissistic people put other people through. They share no empathy. They have altered amygdalas where the part of their brain doesn't even function or is not grown to its proper size where it's not able to function right. So I seen that has a link with autism. So we might be really dealing with some retarded motherfuckers, bro. Like, this shit is the closest definition to evil. To me, narcissism is the psychological definition for evil, bro. You got malignant narcissists, which is a little bit more apparent. You know, they like psycho motherfuckers. They're a little bit more aggressive. You got your covert narcissists, which is a little bit harder to detect, and they could be right beside you and you not know. They seem non-threatening. And then, of course, we got the communal narcissist, which is like like a politician, pretty much. But I'm dealing with a covert narcissist, bro. To my kids, bro, I don't know the next time I'm gonna see y'all. I'm gonna try to go to the court. Last time I was trying to see y'all, this lady was trying to use bereavement and all types of stuff. It's just a whole, it's just so much shit, bro. These people are crazy. That shit crazy, man. The message I want to give to people, man, is watch who you got around you, man. Watch people's characteristic traits, bro. Because you don't ever know when you're sitting next to a motherfucking psychopath, bro. These people got heavy. That shit crazy, man.